Luke chapter 2, verse 7. This is the only verse in the Bible that tells how Jesus was born. I would like to talk on that today. Let's dissect this, because I think there's a lot of good teaching in here, and I want to understand it. Luke 2:7. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in skin clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. She brought forth her firstborn son, no doctor to get credit for spanking him to breathe. She wrapped him in swaddling clothes. No midwife gets credit for wrapping him. And she laid him in a manger, a feeding trough. No man gets the credit for him. He was truly the seed of a woman. Because there was no room for them in the inn, it's most difficult to understand how room for him. If the inn was overcrowded, you mean to tell me not one man would give up his room for this young woman? The Good Samaritan helped a stranger. But these were not strangers, these were kinfolks. These were kinfolks of the same royal household. So something else must be going on here, and so I went to the Greek to see if translation was wrong. And my translation said, because of them was there a space in the guest chamber. I then went to over 30 translations to see if they agreed with this translation. And only one agreed. The YLT, Young Literal Translation, reads like this. And she brought forth her son, the firstborn, and wrapped him and laid him down in a manger, because there was not for them a place in the guest chamber. We as blacks ought to know what that means. The hotel may be empty, but for us, there was no place. Maybe they had heard about this young couple whose wife had cheated, or whose husband had gone into her before the waiting period was over. John 1:11. The Bible puts it like this. He came unto his own, but his own received him not. Come to my house, and I will not treat you as a guest, but as a son. Verse 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe in his name. This provision was made for the Jews. What about the Gentiles? We got to understand the condition of the Gentiles. We were called dogs by the Jews, and even Jesus called us dogs. Matthew 15:26. Matthew 15:26. He is talking to a Gentile woman here who wanted her daughter to be healed. But he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children, the Jews' bread, and to cast it to dogs. the Gentiles. Ephesians 2 and 12. Ephesians 2 and 12. That at that time you were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenant of promise, having no hope and without God in the world. Why were we without hope? And why were we without God? Romans 1:24. Romans 1:24. Wherefore, God gave them, the Gentiles, up to uncleanness. Verse 26. For this cause God gave them over unto vile affection. Verse 28. God gave them over to a reprobate mind. I tell you, the Gentiles were lower than any animal. Male animals do not have sex with male animals, but man does. The duck protects its young ones with the male at the head and the female at the rear, but man abandons his loved one. The ants provide for winter in the summer. Man wastes his money on drugs, alcohol, sex, and gambling, and have no provisions in neither the summer nor the winter. But here comes Christ to where the Gentiles were in the stable. When Gentiles came to the stable to eat, they found the word of God to feed on in the eating trough, the manger, rather than in the reprobate mind. Christ being born in the stable gave Gentiles hope, a way of finding God and the promise of becoming a son of God. I'm glad he came where I was, aren't you? Yes. For truly a child was born, a son was given for all of us, and that is what Christmas is all about.